Hello, welcome to another installment on my YouTube channel. As you know, The Last of Us is a masterpiece of a game, and I have been enjoying it immensely. It features some great characters, especially the two main characters, Joel and Ellie, who have great on-screen chemistry together, as in this scene.
It's me! It's me! Look! It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay.
This scene took place towards the end of the game, actually, in one of the later chapters, where Ellie, the little girl, gets captured by a crew of cannibals and their leader, David, who also kind of was how you say it, had an interest in her, if you get what I mean. In addition to Joel and Ellie as the main characters, there are also some really great side characters, so that's what I'd like to do today. I'd like to count down my top 5 favorite side characters in The Last of Us.
They're good men. This place gives them a second chance. Gives us all a second chance. So why'd you leave Boston?
I've been on quite the adventure, little brother.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
Well, go on then.
She's immune.
Immune to what?
I've
Oh,
seen
come
her,
on.
I know I've seen her breathe enough spores to take down a dozen men, and nothing. Now, I wouldn't have believed it neither, but I can show you.
All right. I'll bite. Why bring her here?
I was supposed to deliver to the Fireflies. The way I figure they're your boys, you finish the job, you collect the whole damn payment.
I haven't seen a firefly in years.
You know where they are. Now, I'm not asking for much, Tommy. I just want some simple gear, enough to set me on my way.
What makes you think I'd do this for you?
This isn't for me, Tommy. This is for your damn cause.
My cause is my family now. You ain't talking about some walk in the park here.
Jesus, boy. Have Maria get some of your born-again friends to do it.
They
but
got families too.
Tommy, I need this.
You want some gear? Sure. But I ain't taking that girl off your hands.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh? Took care of us.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it?
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you wanna play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston.
The biggest role Tommy plays in the game is that he's the person Joel and Ellie are trying to find, because he used to be a former Firefly, or a group of anti-government people who have broken off from society and wanted to return the world as it was intended to be and find a cure for the infection. So they think if they find him, they'll find the Fireflies. And Ellie is the key to all that because, as revealed in the game, she's immune. Like, she gets bitten in one of the DLC chapters you can buy or play. If you have the Master Edition, it comes with it. And because of that, she can't get sick or can't get infected. So it's because it's on her arm like that, the bite, and they think if they rework that, they could develop a vaccine from her blood. So that's why she's so important. This is her story in this game. This is not about Joel. Even though you play as him through about 95% of the game, this is actually Ellie's story.
Come out!
Hello? We just want to talk.
Any sudden moves and I put one right between your eyes. Ditto for Buddy Boy over there. What do you want?
Name's David. This here's my friend James. We're from a larger group. Women, children. They're all very, very hungry.
So am I. Women and children, all very hungry too.
Well, maybe we could trade you for some of that meat there. What do you need? Weapons? Ammo? Clothes?
Medicine! Do you have any antibiotics?
We do. Back at the camp. You're welcome to follow us
I'm
back.
not following you anywhere.
I already mentioned David earlier in my introduction, but as creepy as he is and as he becomes, he's still a very interesting character, even though he's not exactly the most reputable person. Right when you meet David, you think that something is off about this guy. I mean, he appears out of nowhere. Ellie's out in the woods hunting by herself, which she probably shouldn't have been doing, but he shows up out of nowhere and insists that Ellie come with him to keep her alive, parentheses, or quotes, and you can tell something was just off about him. And it turns out he wants revenge on Joel for some reason, because in the previous chapter you ran into a bunch of thugs you had to kill, and it turns out those were David's men. So he's been tracking you and following you around looking for Joel and Ellie because he wants to kill you, or keep Ellie alive and kill Joel. As you play through that chapter, it's revealed that he and his crew are a bunch of cannibals, and it's not played up too much. It really isn't. I mean, you see it happen. I mean, you don't see him like eating people or anything, but you know what they're about. And then it kind of is hinted that he's a bit of a pedophile a little later. I mean, again, not played up very much. You just get the hint that he's interested in Ellie as more than just a partner, friend. Because of his creepiness, that is why he's number 4.
Get back, son! Hey! He's pissed, but he's not gonna do anything.
You sure about that?
Stop!
Joel?
He left us to die out there. No, you had a good chance of making it, and you did. But coming back for you meant putting him at risk. Stay back. If it was the other way around, would you have come back for us? I saved you.
I kind of cheated with number 3 and had 2 characters on this spot. I know it's not fair, but it's my video and I'll do what I want. Sam and Henry are 2 brothers that appeared during the Pittsburgh missions just after a little while into the game, where Joel and Ellie have to escape through there after driving into there, and then they decide this is a big mistake. So he meets these 2 brothers. I guess in the original design for the game they were supposed to be white, but here they're black. But because in case you haven't noticed, in this game there isn't exactly a bunch of racial diversity, so it was changed. Like David, they're just trying to survive, but they do things with moral choices. In fact, there's one point in the game where, like, the younger brother Sam, they're heading out in the store with Joel and Ellie, this toy store, and he picks up this toy robot he wants, and he says, there's nothing in my backpacks, but the brother tells him to put him down because their role is they only take what they need. They only loot what they need. They only take food and bandages and that kind of thing. So he's trying to instill some kind of moral ethic into his brother and try to, even though the world's decaying and everything, they're not going to let that happen to themselves. So their high morals put them at number 3.
Well, it is a joke. Joel needs a car. Well, if I had one that works, which I sure as hell don't, what makes you think I'd just give it to you? Huh? Yeah, sure, Joel, go ahead. Take my car. Take all my food, too, while you're at it.
By the looks of it, you could lose some of that food.
I need you to shut up. All right?
Whatever favors you think I owe you ain't worth that much.
Actually, Bill, they are.
This character, Bill, is really interesting. He's a paranoid old hermit that lives out in this abandoned city that he took over after the infection broke out, and he has traps everywhere, and he's just crazy, and anybody that walks in there he assumes is trying to kill them and is infected, and then he gets into it with Ellie like you wouldn't believe. I mean, from the first moment they meet, they're at each other, and like he makes jokes, or she makes jokes and says stuff like, you know, he says, stay behind me and follow me, watch my butt, and she's like, you can't miss it, and that kind of thing. So they instantly don't like each other. And then he handcuffs her because he thinks she's infected, which she kind of is, but isn't because of her condition of being immune. So he's just this crazy guy, but he's an old friend of Joel, so they have to find him to get him to fix up a car for them so they can get into Pittsburgh, which leads them in their next situation. So a lot of this game is them going from situation to situation, like they go to Billstown, then to Pittsburgh, and then eventually it actually ends up in Salt Lake City, which is where I live, which that was kind of cool. They threw that in there. That's like the climax of the game. It takes place in Salt Lake City. Why does Bill stay there, like all by himself? It might be because he's trying to prove that infection's not going to take him, not going to win. So he just stays there in this town with all these traps he set up, and then it's abandoned, there's nobody there, no people to deal with, so it drove him nuts, basically. So anybody that he sees, even Joel, he gets into, thinks that they're infected out to kill him and all that kind of stuff. That's what makes him interesting, but he's not the most interesting character. And if any of you have played the game, you know who I'm talking about, probably. Who's the most interesting character in The Last of Us besides Joel and Ellie.
He knows that we're after him. He figures he's gonna get us first.
Son of a bitch, he's smart.
He's not smart enough.
Those of you who have played The Last of Us probably saw this coming, why Tess is number one. Tess is Joel's partner at the beginning of the game, and it doesn't really explain what their relationship is, if it's romantic, casual, professional, but you know that they're partners. Is actually the one that gets Joel onto his adventure with Ellie. I mean, they're cornered, and then it turns out she's infected, and she doesn't tell anybody later. Spoiler alert, I mean, it's only the beginning of the game, but she's the one that figures out, once they figure out about Ellie's arm, she's like, this is real, this is 3 weeks old. Usually the infection is only about 2 days, people turn. So she gets them off on their way before holding off the guards. There's security guards after them because they're out of the zone, security zone, and they're not supposed to be there. So they figure all that out, and they're looking for the Fireflies, and then they find the Fireflies in the Capitol building, and they're all massacred. So then she sacrifices herself so Joel and Ellie can get away and get on their own little adventure together. But vulnerable, and then she's also no nonsense but emotional, as in that scene I just described. I mean, she's in tears just telling him to go. Just go. Leave me. Let me die. I will not turn into one of those things. She also is kind of brutal. I mean, there's this scene at the beginning of the game where her and Joel are chasing down this guy that took their weapons he owed them to sell them, and he sold them to the Fireflies, which ticked them off, so they're trying to find him and talk to him. And then, but it wasn't just as simple as that. He tried to kill them. He sent all his guards out on him. So when they finally catch up to him, she's like, you know, I might have let you live or believed you if you hadn't tried to kill me. So, and then she just shoots him, and then that's it. I mean, she's a cool character, and that's why she's number one on my list, because of her no-nonsense, tough attitude, but she's also got a soft side to her as well, especially after meeting Ellie and everything. That's my list. Did you agree or disagree? Did you think there were characters that shouldn't have been on there or should have been on there? Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and I'll see you next time on my next video.